right, Shalom. Shalom Laha Alahayim. Peace to gods. First and foremost, we give all praises, honor, and infinite glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Cha HaKadosh, giving all praises. I didn't say it in the Hebrew. I'm over here trying to translate it. Switched up my intro. Salakia. Double honors to the elder apostles, the elder bishops, and the heads and elders of all that came to Great Millstone GMS who do well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered abroad. This is your brother Tuss upon you. Of the Great Millstone, Washington, D.C. camp, Madawan, Ratazah, Lord willing, is in transit. All right. Quick hit digital epistles edifying to the elect. So, the new persecution under the new Nero. See, us here at the stock of the Great Millstone learned under the tutelage of the elder apostles, starting with Elder Apostle Hall and down. All right. We constantly go into the history, not only from an Israelite perspective, Salakia, but from the perspective of how um things, spirits, or situations may regenerate or reincarnate themselves, systems, whatever it may be, over periods of time. Because the scripture does say in Ecclesiastes that has it been said anything has been new? For there is nothing new under the sun, right? Roughly paraphrasing. So what we're seeing right now is nothing but a play and a repetition of what has happened before time, and we can see multiple examples of that in the scriptures. Just like how America is Babylon, even though there's an ancient Babylon. And the same thing goes for Assyria, Nineveh, um, Rome, Sodom, Egypt. We're going through a second Exodus, and the Exodus already happened. You know, um, 70 AD already happened, but similar scenarios and environments that parallel with 70 AD is about to happen again, so on and so forth. Okay. Um, so when you go into it in the ancient Roman Empire, and we're in the second leg of the Roman Empire, this revived Roman Empire, as we've made multiple videos about how we're in the time of the 10 toes, referring to in the book of Daniel, right? We're in the time in the book of Revelation, what is that, chapter 20, where the devil shall be loose for a little season. That devil is not no fictional character. It's talking about the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan, the physical counterpart being um, Esau, Edom, your so-called white race. Edom created that term white, all right, which was first written in Virginia law in 1681. So it was a socio-political status or hierarchy that they try to make for themselves, right? For the basis of separation, and Edomite supremacy, right? Um, but when you go back into the history, all right, your Christians, which were actually Israelites, they was called Christians first in Antioch. That is in the Bible, in the book of Acts, as a derogatory term from these heathen nations, all right, on how the old, let's say, cult, so to speak, that worship Serapis Christus, right, which was an actual, religion, an actual person, that had that name of the term or title Christus, which means anointed. Okay, and they tried to refer Israelites that followed Yahweh Shai based upon what they would like to call that fanatic following of Yahweh Shai. Hence, they was calling them Christians, which it was a derogatory term. Okay, so these Christians, which were Israelites that followed and believed on Yahweh Shai, Hamashiach, the Anointed, they were doing what Yahweh Shai said to do. They were teaching in the highways and the hedges. Um, they were a remnant, a small minority amongst the Roman Empire. However, they were um, they were causing havoc, so to speak, spiritually speaking. All right, as being a ideological seed, somewhat of being rebellious to the image that the Roman Empire set up, that these Christians were not worshiping. Because back then, just like in ancient Egypt, the elite class, the rulers, were likened and pushed on the people as some type of vessel of divinity, you know, hence the term Caesar. Okay. Um, so just like even in Babylon, how Nebuchadnezzar, set up the golden image and had by the sound of the the symbols and the lyre and the trumpets or whatever, they to bow down into that image, and the three Hebrew boys did it, is somewhat of a similar parallel to how the Christians acted when they wasn't worshiping the Roman gods. They was not Romanized in that sense. They didn't regard the Caesar as, God on earth, so to speak. And this caused specifically Nero towards those Israelites that followed Yahweh Shai, proving that these Christians were Israelites. Slakia, that thou shalt not have no other God before me. You know. So what did Nero do back then? He he took the talking points that the Christians were saying, basically trying to get the rest of the Israelite foreigners scattered amongst the Roman Empire to stop worshiping those false Roman gods, and and these Christians were not using force and um, going against the Roman government, fighting or killing their oppressors, or setting on fire and burning down idols and things of that nature. They was taught by Yahweh Shai to basically to wait on the salvation of the Lord, to put it in a nutshell. And whether or not Nero knew this, that they weren't a violent remnant religious slash spiritual people, he used Hegelian dialectic, right, to push the agenda that he wanted to push, which was annihilation of Christians, which were Israelites that believed in Yahweh Shai. So what did he do? I think it was one of the temples of Jupiter, and he burned it down and blamed the Christians, Israelites that believed on Yahweh Shai, for burning down one of their, the Roman sacred temples. If I'm not mistaken, it was a temple of Jupiter. So what did that create? That created um, a a frenzy of Roman citizens, most likely that wasn't of the Israelite stock, to go on board and agree with the persecutions of these Israelites that believed on Yahweh Shai, creating a stigma and categorizing them as being treasonous and against the Roman Empire. You know, T words and things of that nature. So through the scriptures in Ecclesiastes, there's nothing new under the sun. We're seeing the same things now as we're seeing more and more trying to make the face of Jake, right, the sons of Jacob, as a violent threat to the upkeeping and standard of how they think America is supposed to be ran. And eventually it's going to start to really dwindle down specifically to those of the Hebrew Israelite ideology, so to speak, according to them. And we see this through the spirit because the scriptures talk about the false accuser of our brethren. You know, we're dealing with the devil here. So he's not going to play fair, you know, for lack of better words, when trying to do the thing that he's trying to do, which ultimately is trying to take back his birthright. Revelation 12:12 says he's going to come down with great wrath, right? And we're seeing the horns on this devil. You got Fox News hosts talking about, unaliving homeless people and mentally, ill people and things of that nature. You know, we're having something very similar to the pandemic where if you talk bad about CK, the event that just happened not too long ago, then they're putting you on an online centralized database and having people try to call your job and get you fired and basically trying to take, food out your mouth, money out your pocket, which is very similar to the pandemic, right? Because if you didn't go aboard of what they want to do, they're going to try to uh, 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 kill you in the sense of the root word in Revelation 13 and verse 15, because you're not worshiping the image of the beast. And in second Esdras, chapter 16, it talks about that how there shall be a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. And that's twofold because, of course, only the true Israelite men that believe on Yahweh Shah is really the ones that, fear the Lord. But in a sense, it's all Israel because, they have a zeal towards the Most High, but not according to knowledge. So all Israel on a low, low level fear the Lord in relativity to these other nations. You know, we're talking about the God, the power of the Bible, the power of Israel, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay, so the scriptures talk about how a prudent man foreseeth evil and hideth himself. So evil is a compound word, bad times. Prudent be going into wise. So Isaiah 33:6 says, "For knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thy times." So if in order to be stable, you have to foresee the bad times that's coming, and you have to hide yourself in protection, true protection. And remember, it talks about how there is no protection in Egypt. Woe unto those that go down to Egypt, and seek help or for protection, roughly paraphrasing. The true protection is under the shadow of his wings, all right? Which is, again, symbolism for being in this truth, which is a protection from on high, all right? The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and are safe, right? So it's that safety, you know? It's that safety that we're looking for. Safety from what? From the great wrath that the devil's coming down onto the earth with. But we are of above, and these other people are from below. So when it talks about rejoice, O ye heavens, in Revelation 12:12, it's talking about us, man. Yahweh Shah said the kingdom of heaven is in you. All right? So we're supposed to rejoice because the time and the prophecies and the tokens that was promised and spoken of before time is happening now, right? So we're rejoicing because we know that these things have to happen in order for a place where dwelleth righteousness is completely absorbed, or completely absorbs all these lesser kingdoms, you know? I'll put it that way, right? So just a little quick hit, Lord willing, I could do another one, but I'm seeing, and brothers is seeing, what is about to take place, man. This is not gonna be no walk in the park, man. We're talking about public enemy number one, so you gotta have understanding, one, of what you signed up for, man, you know, and those of the elect are already, well, one, they're of the elect, and then two, the elect is gonna move in a type of way because they're already grounded, whether they're gonna hold that crown unto death. Nothing could separate them, from the love of Hamashiach Yahushua, man. Basically, the promises that we have been given, you know. So I'm gonna leave it at that, man. Lord willing, I was edifying to the elect. On to the next one, Shalom.